So I'm here filming this entire video, for the second time. The first time my background was just a little messy and it was really bothering me, so I deleted every single clip and I'm gonna do it again. So if I sound like I'm trying to rush through this, it's probably because I am, because I already filmed all of this. On a side note, if you guys are interested how I got this look, I actually did not film it, I just sat down and did it, but I will have every product I used listed down below, down to the foundation, lashes, brows, everything will be listed down below. My Instagram and Twitter are linked down below as well, just in case you're interested in following me on both of those platforms. I'm definitely more active on Instagram and Twitter than I am on here, so if you guys are interested in keeping up with me and seeing all the looks I create aside from YouTube, then definitely go follow me on there. So I'm going to be doing a palette collection today. I'm just going to show you guys every single palette I have, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, my favorites, and all of that. So let's get started. So I'm just going to start off with the palettes that I used on my face today. So I think my number one favorite palette is this one right here, but this is definitely an amazing palette. This is from September Rose Cosmetics. They are a small Instagram brand, but the pigment, the quality. So this is what she looks like on the inside. It does have a mirror, but these are the shades. As you can see, it's a very nice rainbow palette. You can see all of the shades that I like the most. I can swatch some for you. Clearly my favorite ones, and it's a little hard to swatch because I've just hit pan so much. But these are like my favorite shades. This has my favorite pink, my favorite yellow and orange, like in my entire collection. Whenever I need a yellow, pink, or orange, this is the palette I'm going to go to. They're just super pretty. The pigment is insane and they do blend nicely, and it does work well with other palettes. I have used this palette on its own, but I've also used it paired with 2 or 3 other palettes, and all of the colors always blend really nicely into one another. I also do have a discount code for this palette. I will leave it on the screen right here just in case you're interested in purchasing. If I'm going to recommend any of these palettes to you, it is going to be this one, 100%. So I did use this palette on my eyes today. I used this orange right here and this yellow. That is what's in my crease. So yeah, this palette, amazing. Next is the Juvia's Place Zulu palette. I also used this on my eyes today. This is the only Juvia's Place palette I have, but it is gorgeous. As you can see, the colors in here are super me. And I really love the quality. The pans are a little bit bigger than like normal size pans, so you are getting a lot for your money. And this purple shade right here, my favorite purple shade in my entire collection, in every single purple that I have, this is the best one. This does have some beautiful shades. I also used a little bit of this yellow on my crease today, and I used this green shade on my lid. So let me just like swatch a few. So those are just a few of them swatched. This blue right here, super gorgeous. I think this palette is on sale on Ulta. It might be sold out, but if you do get a chance to get this, on sale or not, I definitely recommend this. Next is the Morphe and James Charles, it's a little dirty, eyeshadow palette. This one is also really nice. This does have some of like my favorite shades in here, so this is what this looks like. Everyone already knows. This palette is ginormous, and personally I don't use a lot of these shades, especially in the first 3 rows right here. It's just super neutral tones, and I'm not really into neutral tones anymore, but it is a really nice formula. When it comes to the rainbow shades, he did talk about this in his video. Some of them are different formula because they're pressed pigments, whatever. The 2 shades that I have had issues with are this purple right here and this blue. They both like, they're really pigmented, they're really nice, but when you blend them out, they just don't blend out as smoothly as some of the other shades, and it just, sometimes it just doesn't look right. But other than that, like this blue right here, gorgeous. This blue, gorgeous. The yellow, gorgeous. The white, my favorite white. The black is nice too. The red is also a nice red. I will show you guys which red is my favorite in my whole collection, but this one is just not the best. You know, like it's nice, just not the best. I'm exhausted. So I'm just gonna knock out all of my certified palettes at once. So this first one here is the Dynasty palette. This is what this one looks like. Really nice. The formula in all three of these palettes are consistent. Very, very nice. This blue shade right here and these greens are super gorgeous. Some of my favorites when I'm looking for like these kind of shades. It does have an entire row of shimmers. These shimmers are not my favorite. I mean, okay, the shimmers like are nice. They're just not like intense and foiled. So if you use them on their own, they're just really not gonna like, they're not gonna wow you. But if you use them on top of another shimmer, they are absolutely gorgeous. So I feel like these are more of like a lid topper situation. But this is very nice. Very nice palette. Next is the Destiny palette. This one is definitely a lot warmer. Other than like this bottom row, it's a very warm palette. This one does have a few shimmer shades as well, but I don't use this palette a lot either because it just leans, to me, it leans more on the neutral side and it just doesn't really attract me that much, but whatever. So the last certified palette that I have, and definitely my favorite, is the Tropical Wonders palette. This is their full rainbow palette, a white, a gray, a black, every shade in the rainbow. And this is the palette that has my favorite red. So this one right here, she don't play. So I'm going to swatch the James Charles red next to this one just so you guys can see the difference and you guys can see just like what I'm talking about. So as you can see, both reds are really, really gorgeous, but this one is the Tropical Wonders and this one is the James Charles one. And I feel like the Tropical Wonders one is just a little bit more bright and vibrant. Again, you can use whichever red you want, but if you're looking for like the best red, certified Tropical Wonders. Next, I have the Violet Voss Rainbow Eyeshadow Palette. This is a full shimmer palette. It has a white, a black, blues, purples, yellows, or golds, whatever, pinks, blues, darker blues, whatever. It has everything, but this is a full shimmer. No eyeshadow in here is matte whatsoever. This shade right here is probably my favorite shade in the palette. It just is like a white with like a gold reflex, but it is super like foiled and gorgeous. In my last video, which is my recreating some of my old looks, I used this eyeshadow in 2 of the looks and it was just gorgeous. So if you want to see how this performs, you can go to my last video and you will see that there. Next is the BBS Queens Flower Palette. This is from also like a smaller Instagram brand. I have used this a few times. I haven't played with every single shade in here, but I also used this palette in my recreating old looks video and I used this shade right here. Super gorgeous. It was like the perfect shade that I was looking for to like deepen up the crease. This bright pink is also really nice. Let me just swatch some of these for you. So these are some swatches. As you can see, they're very pigmented. And they blend out really nicely, and they also like work well with other palettes. Sometimes I find that a palette is really, really nice, but it doesn't really layer well with different eyeshadows. So I feel like this one does do that. So, and I don't think this one is that expensive either. So next is the Jeffree Star Androgyny palette. This is the only Jeffree Star palette I have, and to be honest with you, I haven't really played with a lot of the shades in here. The shade that I use in here the most is this blue one right here. This is like the most beautiful navy blue eyeshadow ever. Just like swatching these, oh my god, like they're super creamy, but the pigment is insane. They blend out super nicely and they work really well with other eyeshadows as well. Like I said, usually I only use it for this blue shade because this is like my favorite navy blue. I used to use the navy blue in the 35O all the time, but once I'm using this, like the formula of the 35O, especially that navy blue shade, was so dry and like powdery and just didn't even blend well, but it was the only one I had. And now that I have this one, I'm just like, I'm dying because like this formula is super, super great. Opinions on Jeffree Star aside, this palette formula wise is absolutely gorgeous, so I love the blue shade in here. Next is the Take Me Back to Brazil palette from BH Cosmetics. This palette, I have like a love-hate relationship with it. A lot of the shades in here are very, like, they're just inconsistent formula-wise. There's some shimmers in here and you can't even tell because they don't even look like shimmers. They don't swatch like shimmers. They don't apply like shimmers whatsoever. Some of like these shades and some of the purple shades are very hard to use. This was one of the first like full color eyeshadow palettes I got, so I did like have to use it because it was all I had. But this palette, like I said, very inconsistent. It is cheaper and you do get 35 shades, but the pan sizes are tiny. Like, look, compared to my finger, pan sizes are tiny, and I only really use it for these blue shades here. Other than that, like some of the greens I like to use, but other than that, I would really pass up on this. I'd rather save some more money and then get one of the palettes that I like recommended to you guys, because formula wise, so much better, believe me, trust me. Next is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill original eyeshadow palette. This one is like my favorite for neutrals. It has been my favorite for neutrals since the beginning of time. But as you can see, I use a lot of these shades, especially like on clients. Whenever I'm doing somebody's makeup, this is the palette that I'm going to use. It just has everything. Like, it has every single tone that someone might ask for. The formula is so much better than Morphe's like old eyeshadows. The shimmers are super gorgeous. Let me just... So these are some of these shades swatched. As you can see, they're very, very nice. I'm not really into neutral tones anymore, so whenever I do use this palette, it's always for clients, for someone else's face, because yeah. Next is my Z palette. This is full of Makeup Geek eyeshadows. Again, neutral tones, don't really use these ever. However, this like foiled eyeshadow formula is super gorgeous. Definitely foiled and super pigmented. I just never really use these. These tones are not really everything to me, but these shades right here are ABH contour powder, so that's not really like, let's just not even acknowledge them, okay? Next is the Violet Voss Flamingo eyeshadow palette. That's what this one looks like. I honestly hardly ever use this as well. I also feel like the formula is a little bit inconsistent in these shadows. If I am going to use this palette, it's going to be for like these shades up here or these two, but other than that, I never really use this palette. I hate the black. I've tried using the black so many times and it just messes up every look. I don't know why. I use other blacks and it does not do that to me, but this one does. So the color combination, like the color scheme in this palette, it's not everything. It's kind of like half colorful, half neutral, and I'm just like, choose, you know, choose. Next is the iconic 35B. This was my first colorful eyeshadow palette. As you can see, I have used it to death. All of the shades that I would use all the time have pan showing through. After using this palette and then using like my favorites present time, this palette really does not compare formula wise whatsoever. The formula is very dry and it can be kind of patchy, doesn't blend the best, and it's just not that pigmented. But you can't even buy this anymore. This is like discontinued, and I think some other like websites did carry this, but I don't think they do anymore. I mean, you can find like dupes for this like on Amazon or anything like that, but if you do see it, don't buy it. Just like, again, save your money a little bit more and buy one of the palettes that I have recommended, because they're so much better. So those were basically all of the palettes that are in like my go-to drawer, that I just have them there because I'm gonna probably use those palettes more likely than the palettes that I'm about to show you. So all of these palettes are ones that I never use and never reach for. I literally have them in a box in like the corner of my room because I know I'm never gonna use them. So let's just get started on these. So first is the NYX Avant Pop palette. This is the Art Throb one, and it's just looks like this. Honestly, the only shade I really ever used this for was this silver shade right here. This blue one looks like I use it a lot because I scraped it, because when I was trying to like mix it with something to like whatever. But I honestly don't really use this palette much, and I did used to use this shade right here. It's just like a shimmer white. This is just like a true white, and I would just use that like on my inner corner. But I really can't tell you much about the formula. The few shades that I have used were okay, but the rest of the shades I just never used, and I probably never will. Next is the Wet n Wild Not a Basic Peach eyeshadow palette, except it's very, very basic. If you take out this blue shade, so when it comes to formula of this, could be better, could be so much better. Let me just swatch the shimmers for you. That's just disappointing, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. This is a very kick-up-y formula, you know, like you'll dip your brush in there and like a lot of powder will kick up. I did used to use this orange shade a lot, but it is more of like a neutral orange. It's not really like super bright like the one I have on my eyes now. It's just very I have another certified palette. This is the Majestic palette, and this is what this one looks like. Again, very neutral. What you're gonna find with all of the palettes that I'm about to show you is most of them are just very neutral, and I just would never use them on myself. So yes, this is the same situation with the other longer palettes that I showed you. The shimmers are just more like lid toppers. They're not super intense, and the mattes are a really nice formula, but again, there's not really many different looks you can do with this palette. It has 9 shades and they're all like the same. My lip gloss has come off so much from just talking. This is the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in Diamond Milk. Gorgeous, right? Okay. Next I have the Dominique Cosmetics Lemonade palette. This one is actually really pretty. It's not super neutral, as you can see. It just has like pops of color, but the formula of these shimmers, especially, like, look, I'm going to be digging in here. That's all you get. This blue right here is a little bit more pigmented. Pink is the same story as this blue. They're just more like lid toppers. They're not super intense on their own. With shimmers, for me, or with eyeshadows in general, it's just like go big or go home. It's not, I don't really like something that's like in between, like I have 2 Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes, Modern Renaissance and Soft Glam. Everybody and their mothers know what these look like. Let me just show you them at the same time. So up here is the Modern Renaissance, and this is the Soft Glam. Again, these are more neutral tones. Everyone knows and loves the ABH formula, so I'm not gonna like, this has nothing to do with their formula because it is super pigmented and blendable, gorgeous, super creamy. This is another one of those palettes that it's like, when you dip your brush in a few times, you're gonna get a lot of powder kick up, but that also means that they're gonna be super pigmented. So a lot of times when like I have clients, I will take the Soft Glam with me because it just has like all of the basic tones that someone might want. Has even a black, a gold. It's super pretty. I just would never use these on myself, as you can tell. I don't really go for these tones anymore. I go for orange and green. I have a colored rain palette. This is the Cheers to the Beauty palette. Super long, by the way. Like, look, it's like longer than my head, but this is what this one looks like. It even has a face highlighter, but the shade of this I would just never use. Like, it's like a duochrome, and it's not even like blinding. It's just whatever. But the formula of the mattes in here is not my favorite. When I used it a few times, it really wasn't that easy to blend out, and I didn't do anything different with it. It just wasn't that blendable. But some of these shimmers in here are more like foiled eyeshadows, like the ones that I'm about to show you. Like, these are nice and foiled, and then shades like these, shades like the blue and the green, are more like regular shimmers, but the foiled eyeshadows in here are super nice in formula. I just, again, this is not a palette that I would reach for. I feel like I have these shades in so many other palettes that I would rather use than this one. So again, a nice palette for the shimmers. The mattes I feel like could be better, but other than that, yeah, there's that palette. So next I have the Iconic. You can't even tell what it is because all of the Morphe packaging, like the old Morphe packaging, is like the literal same. But this is the 35O. This is the first high-end palette I ever bought, the Modern Renaissance. I bought it for my 15th birthday and I was like feeling so bougie. But this is the first palette I ever bought for myself. And the formula, if you have this palette and then you've tried like newer Morphe eyeshadows, the formula has definitely changed for the better. Like, these are a little bit dry and they're not that blendable. They are pretty like pigmented. They're not like not pigmented, but blendability and like the formula is just not the best. There's like 5 million shades of brown in this palette. If you need 5 million shades of brown, go for it, but personally I don't need any shades of brown. I mean, personally, that's just me though. Finally, moving on to the last palette. This is the Morphe 24G. So when I talk about like newer formula and newer eyeshadows from Morphe. This is like one of the ones I'm talking about. As you can see, the packaging is a lot different. And you're gonna see right now the eyeshadows in here. So this is the 24G. Like I said, these pan sizes are a lot like bigger than the regular standard Morphe pan size. But this has, again, a bunch of neutral tones. If you take out like this shade, and that's really it. If you take those out, this is just a very neutral palette. Again, most of these palettes, I bought them when I was into neutral tones, into warm tones, into just like simple, basic makeup. That's not really me anymore. So again, I never really use these. I did used to use these shades right here as like a face highlighter, but let me just swatch some of these for you. I guess I can swatch like this. These. So that's what these look like. Super buttery and creamy. These are a lot more pigmented and a lot more blendable than like the 35O formula. But again, all of these like tones of these palettes, they just don't work for me. They just don't get me excited. They don't make me want to create. They just make me want to like sleep because they're just boring to me. So those are basically all of my palettes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got a sense of which palettes personally I really like, which ones I don't like, you know, and all that stuff. I definitely think making this video, like, it's really funny seeing how my taste has changed in just a few months. Like the last palette collection I did, I mean, I was all about warm tones. I was a little bit about like the pop of color, but I was more like neutral. Warm tones was like my favorite thing ever. And now it's definitely like rainbow colors. That's what gets me really excited and makes me want to create. But I still have a ton of palettes from my past life. If you have any video suggestions of something you want to see from me, then leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, leave it in the comments down below. And also, if you want, leave your favorite eyeshadow palette down below. If you guys want, I can keep making these videos like throughout 2019 just to see how my collection evolves, how my taste evolves, and just all of that. I think that would be like really cool. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video.